in Cuba Friday, the U.S. flag raised over our embassy in Havana. Not everybody is happy with that, especially our next guest, whose father was killed by Puerto Rican terrorists in 1975 in Manhattan in a bombing there. The killers were granted asylum in Cuba, and they're still there. Joe Connor is with us. All right, Joe, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Stuart.
Now, your father was killed in a bombing incident in Manhattan by the Puerto Rican nationalists. The guy who did it went to Cuba and is still there.
Yes, William Morales was the chief bomb maker for the FALN. He was convicted of and sentenced to 99 years in prison. He escaped from prison with one finger, half his face, and he's been in Cuba since 1988.
And you think that we should not establish this relationship with Cuba because of what happened to your father and the killer who's still there?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why we shouldn't establish the relationship with Cuba. I think one of the main reasons is that we need to seek justice. We are the most powerful country in the world, and we get nothing out of our negotiation. It's actually not even negotiation, it's capitulation, and it's very similar to what we've done in Iran.
Big picture argument, that is, that it's more important to establish a relationship between countries than it is to establish justice for individuals in this case.
Well, perhaps, but the relationship that we're creating with Cuba is a very one-sided relationship. There's been no give on the Cuban side. As a matter of fact, as we're negotiating this, they're saying they want reparations from the United States. They owe us $8 billion in seizure of our assets. So you can say that we want to create a relationship, but creating a relationship with a person or a country is not one-sided. You have to get something back. Bringing Morales back, and he's low-hanging fruit in Cuba right now. He's a great chance to get back. I talk to people very closely in the Joint Terrorism Task Force. He is low-hanging fruit. He's not particularly liked in Cuba. He is the person we can get back. There's about 70 fugitives in Cuba, including Joanne Chesimard.
Oh, yeah, sure. But do you think we're going to get him?
I think we will eventually get him back, but we should never have gone down this path without demanding justice. But it's such a simple rule.
It doesn't negotiate in that way.
The president doesn't negotiate
at all. He wants an agreement, so he negotiates to get an agreement.
Right, but that's not what a negotiation is. That's a capitulation. You don't negotiate for an agreement. You have goals in mind, and then you negotiate to reach those goals. The goal isn't the agreement. The goal is to get you something. And in this case, and in the case of Iran, the goal, as you point out, has been the agreement, not something that's tangibly good for our country.
Is there anything you can do in the very near term that will get your father's killer back here?
Well, I personally can't, but what the people can do is speak out. We had 13 congressmen writing a letter to John Kerry just last week. Look, the founders were afraid that that you could have tyranny, even elected tyranny. Unless the people speak out and make make our leaders fear the people, we're going to fear our leaders. And we need to fight. We need to have people who stand up. I'm just one, but there's a lot of people out there who feel like I do, and we need to talk.
Joe Connor, thank you very much for being on this program. We will see you again.
Very good. Anytime.
Yes, sir.